Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Slate 6 mini podcast. I'm here with Andrew.
Hello.
And this episode we're looking at the film The Age of Success, which is Sung-tong-site in Korean. This film was produced in 1988 and directed by Jang Sung-woo. We had the pleasure of watching it at the Korean London Film Festival on Monday. So Andrew's going to give us a quick synopsis of the plot. Without spoilers, I'm assuming?
Yeah, no spoilers. We'll try not to spoil it for the review. But
I don't think even if you want to see this film, you're going to be able to find it anywhere, to be honest.
You reckon?
I tried to find it online, like on Amazon and stuff, but no, had no success. Had no Age of Success.
Hey, no success for your age.
Yeah.
So Sung-ki Ahn, sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Sung-ki Ahn, that's how I'm going to say it, plays Kim Pan-chok, who is a businessman who at the start gets a job for a sweetener company called Yumi Food, I think. And it's about his rise to the top and then demise within that company. And it's all about the Yummy Corporation trying to take down the Gammy Foods Corporation through advertising, essentially. Right. And they just use ruthless, I guess almost militaristic tactics to try and take them down. And the main thing he uses to his advantage is he starts a relationship with Lee Hae-young. And it gets her to spy on...
So does she work for Gummy then?
No, she is a lady of the night, I guess is the nice way to put it. So it starts out as almost a slapstick comedy. Like, it is... The whole way through, it is funny. You know, like, laugh out loud funny. There is some hilarious bits at the start when he's going for the job interview for the corporation and... just all these ridiculous things, like he salutes in a Nazi fashion money that he has on his wall, like a big note. And it's just this huge satire on the working man's world and everything that's wrong with it.
And definitely a commentary on the state of Korea during the 80s and the economic rise during that time.
Is that when it was at its biggest?
Yeah, due to low price on the dollar and low oil price, Korean exports increased dramatically during the mid to late 80s.
Right.
And that's when you started seeing these films satirizing business culture coming out.
Okay.
I find it quite interesting that it's an artificial sweetener company.
Yeah.
It's quite an on-the-nose metaphor, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. And talking of metaphors, what they do in the adverts is they basically sexualize food, and they use women to, sexualize these adverts. There's one, I think it's called, I can't remember what the product is called, but it basically looks like a dildo that you sprinkle over your food, and then in the advert the woman's sucking it.
Wow.
But the metaphor is that it's like, this is how men not only think of women but try and sell things. They're selling food,
sex sells,
and it's just all of it is just like this big prostitution thing, and all these men in it are awful. There is just no...
Well, yeah, it's quite interesting as well that they focus on not improving the product but just improving the marketing.
Yeah, and they also just steal the other companies' their ideas, and that's the way they do it. There's no one actually... It's all just like a power struggle.
Is it just like a one-upsmanship?
Yeah, exactly.
The entire time, back and forth between the two companies.
Yeah, and it just shows a lot of... it's just all about greed and what people are willing to do to get to the top. And the lead, Kim Pan-chok, he starts as you kind of like him. You kind of feel that he's... he's down on his luck a bit, maybe.
Yeah.
He's very good at what he does, but, you kind of first sympathize with him. He just is ambitious, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the way he starts behaving and just get to the top, and it's for what?
Yeah.
That he towards the end is saluting in the Nazi fashion again this big bit of money with his face on it that the corporation's made for him.
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah,
So it's got a lot of Hitler imagery and fascism.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, it is very much like, how here it might be called the man, the corporations, everyone's like, oh, the corporation, they're so disgusting.
Yeah, the seedy side of business.
Yeah, and it's got all of that from like, we were talking off mic about like the drinking after work stuff. There's prostitution in there. There's, getting other people fired. There's blackmail in there.
Yeah. I've
All
seen a
those
few
things.
online critiques comparing this film to Wolf of Wall Street. Do you think Scorsese might have taken a bit of influence from this film?
Maybe. Do you know what? In the way it plays out, very much so. Like the way the beats it hits, it very much starts as this like funny comedy.
Yeah.
And then it, like as he unravels, so does the film. Like you get less and less comedy.
Yeah.
And it just becomes a bit bleak.
Well, that happens in Wolf of Wall Street, but I mean, the difference would probably be that it was in Wolf of Wall Street, it was Jordan Belfort's lifestyle that led to his demise.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, it's the business leading to his demise.
Yeah, it's just him. Yeah, I guess what it does really well is like there's always a consequence to your actions. So he's using a woman to get himself to the top, and then when he's done with her and being blackmailed about her, he breaks the relationship off.
Okay.
And then when he tries...
So he's very single-track mind then.
Yeah, exactly. He just is like, all he's focused on is money. Money, 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 money.
Is there like a reason for that? Do you get any backstory? It's like a Walter White kind of craving power, or...
There's one thing, and it comes up towards the end. It's to do with his dad, and he had a single father.
Right.
Who he was, brought up outside the city, and his father just toiled and didn't earn much money. So I think it's like, I don't want to become like my father. But there's an interesting thing where he ends up back in his hometown, and the woman's there with the rival corporation's son, like the CEO's son, she's now started a relationship with him. So she basically ends up double agenting the original guy, Kim Pan-chok. So yeah, gives their secrets away, gives false information.
Okay.
Yeah, just like ruins his, and then goes to his hometown, which is like in the mountains. So there's like ski resorts, to essentially be like, look, there's a line in it, something like, oh, once something sells, it's not worth it, or something like that.
Right,
and
I
he
see.
says that about her, and then she says it back to him when he's like begging back to her. But then what's really good is he has his revelation of, very much in a Don Draper way. Did you watch Mad Men?
No.
He has this big revelation of like, I've got my idea, the...
Right, okay.
the thing that's going to make the bucks. And when he goes back to the Yumi Corporation to sell it to him, they kick him out. They just think he's a madman.
Oh, wow.
And that's how it kind of ends. He actually, veers his car off. He kind of like goes insane. He's imagining like all this business, opportunities, people applauding him, but he ends up veering his car into a ditch, and it's left ambiguous.
Okay. You said you really enjoyed the music.
Yeah, it's got, because it's set in the late 80s, it's got this wicked soundtrack. It's like, I think I said to you guys last night, it's kind of like a Sega-esque, like Street Fighter.
Is there organs in there?
No organs, all like synths and
nice.
More like Sega Game Boy type music.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing, which is really cool. But I do want to say that it is really funny. Like the way I've just explained it sounds more dramatic, but the drama sort of only starts to creep. It creeps in more and more towards the end, but it's really good how well balanced it is.
Right.
And at the start, there's this incredible scene. It's so slapstick. It's like something out of, like the 50s or 60s over here.
Yeah.
And it's the two corporations at there. I don't know if you ever saw this when you lived in Korea, but they're sort of like two free food stands and they're trying to, to get people on board. It's like, we're giving out a free sample of this, or like 50% off this if you like sign up.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to outbid each other on this parking lot, and it turns into like an Anchorman-esque scene where they've all got bats.
Right.
And they're like, we're giving out free baseball bats, we're giving out free bats too, and then
it's kind of like what LG and Samsung are like in Korea at the moment.
Oh really? Yeah. Yeah, I think it's still very much relevant to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's commentary on it. Yeah, it was a really good watch. It was really fun.
What about the acting? What do you think of that? Because Sung-ki Ahn, the main protagonist, is quite well known. He's been in plenty of stuff since then. There's a film called Unbowed that came out in 2011, which was a pretty big film, but he's still acting to this day.
Yeah, he's really good. He does very good, switches between comedic, dramatic. And what's really good too is, say where in the movie he has to switch his personality to benefit himself.
Yeah.
He acts that so well, it's like he very much, you just see that character that he's portraying. You don't ever see the acting behind it. I'd say the leading lady is not as good, but also because it's a comedy, sometimes you can get away with a bit more wooden acting, and because of comedic touches, you can kind of like brush over it. A lot of the supporting cast are quite terrible, especially his I don't know what she's like on his sales team at the start, but she's kind of the only woman on the team, and they're all just horrible to her. She's like the person they all chuck their coats on, and when they're going out, or
I see.
Yeah, it's really horrible, and it does highlight how misogynistic the business world is, and I think we have that too, in this country.
Yeah,
so it's not.
Definitely.
It's obviously not, just Korea. It really shows it, and it's quite horrendous. Yeah.
So, any other points on this film, or
no, I don't.
Worth a watch?
Yeah, I definitely really watch.
It.
Yeah, if you can find it, because I just think how good the comedy is. Like, it's so laugh out loud, and I was reading subtitles, but you can with the acting and reading subtitles, it's.
We said it was very slapstick at the beginning as well.
And it does slapstick. It does like dry humor. Yeah, it kind of like ticks all the boxes.
Nice.
I think it does drag a bit towards the end when it's going more dramatic. What time did it start?
Hour and 40, something like that?
Yeah, hour and 40. So maybe it's about like 10, 15 minutes, a bit too long. Like the bit where he has to go, like the end with him, going back to his hometown and stuff. That kind of took a bit longer, because there's another like route. He gets demoted to this shop, basically like a shop clerk. Yeah. And there's certain bits that I see why they did it, but yeah.
Out of 6,
I'll go 4.
Nice.
Yeah,
good score.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was fun. I think hats off to the director and cast to make comedy accessible to someone who's the film's not in my first language. Yeah. Because that's very hard to do. To translate humor, I think, is probably one of the hardest.
Absolutely, definitely.
Things to do. Everyone's got their own humor style, and it's not just you personally, but depending on where you come from. England's known for its like dry humor. America might be more wacky. So yeah. Great stuff.
Cool. Well, we'll be back with another few episodes of this.
Yeah.
Check them all out.
Thanks for listening.
Cheerio.
Bye-bye. Give us a like, subscribe, follow, all those things. At SyncSlate6 on Instagram, Twitter, Gmail.